Yes, yes, yes. What it is, what's going on? Let's see how I sound one time, real quick. Sound check. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. If you sneeze, bless you. I got some tissue. I got balls for days. You know how we do. Okay, sounding good. That's a good start. Okay. So, Mr. Pemberton doesn't have any music today because I've got a different setup. And I don't think I can get the music through unless, can I? Let's try something out here. How's everybody doing? Who's in? Who's in the building? Who is in the building? Who is here? Who is around? I'm here. I've got the tea, but no tunes. Trying to see if we can sort some tunes out. Now, I don't know if I do it this way, if you're going to hear the music. But if I get this to work, I'll be incredibly pleased. So, this is how I test it. Okay, great. So, no music's coming through. Silence is music. Silence is music, says Mr. Off the King. I think if I was to get my phone and get this other connection, which I don't have, then I can get some music. What is Let's Talk without music? Is it even possible to have this without music? I know my voice is like music to some people's ears, but we want to have that vibe. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you want to give me a minute and I'm going to try something out? And if this works, oh, but it's not stereo. I'm going to try something. I'll be right back. Don't you dare touch that dial. Don't touch that dial. I'll be right back. You might hear me walking around in the background. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it might be a miracle. Didn't have to go anywhere because I'm looking at this bag. Let's see what we can do here. Oi, okay. So, I think this is one of the reasons why I'm glad I don't have an iPhone, because I can have this little mini jack thing, and you don't really, not at all. You cannot. If you had an iPhone, it'd all be Bluetooth. No shade on iPhone users or iPhone itself. I don't really care. Hey, Cooking and DIY, good to have you as always. It's all good. It's all good. I'm just trying to sort out some music because we don't have any music at the moment. And it feels like Let's Talk isn't real if there's no music. Do you know what I mean? So we want to make sure that we got some tunes. I got the tea, but I ain't got the tunes. Now, let's see if this works. If this works, I will be incredibly pleased. Oh, and you can probably hear someone making noise in the back, which is why we need the music. All right, let's see if this works. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me know if you can hear the music. Can you hear the music? Is it a Christmas miracle? Let me know if you can hear the music. And I'm going to do a test myself too. Okay, I've done a test and the music is there. Good stuff. Yes, awesome. Wow, this is fantastic. This is really fantastic. I made it work. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about today? We are talking about life lessons. Life lessons. Got the tea, got the tunes. We are good to go. Let's make it happen. Let's make it go. Let's do this. Okay. First, I'm going to start off with the first verse. I'm joking. I'm not rapping today. Today is not a rapping day. Wow. This setup is so different, right? And it's it doesn't have like noise cancellation stuff on there. I'm using this amazing mic. And I think my voice sounds a little bit different, but I can't play around with it too much. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah. So we're back again with another Let's Talk, another Wednesday. How have you been? What has been going on? How is life treating you? And how are you treating life? I hope you're going to say you're treating life good and life is also treating you good. Yeah, so I was talking to someone the other day and they asked me a question. They said, what has been 3 of your biggest life lessons? And there were quite a few things that I could have spoke about, but I don't remember what I mentioned. I mentioned a few things, but it made me think about how we learn and maybe how we don't learn as well. So, what's been some of your biggest learnings from life? And who did you learn those things from? Yeah, what's been some of your life lessons that you might want to share, that you might want to share some of your wisdom and share some of your experiences? Yeah, because it's important to learn from your mistakes and also learn from other people, right? So, yeah. What's been some of my biggest... So my dad said to me some time ago, he said, be careful what kind of scars you get, because the scars are going to stay with you for life. And that's not about like physical, that's not like physical scars. It's like emotional scars as well. And he said that. I don't know why. I don't even remember why he said it. I think I might have been 16, maybe 17. We were walking somewhere. Maybe I was doing something silly. And I wish I took that on before I did a certain thing. Some time ago, I was running for a bus and I jumped over a fence and I ended up slipping and falling on my back, and it was really painful, right? And there isn't a physical scar that I can see, but there's definitely something that I can feel every once in a while. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Yes, Manny. How you doing? Good to have you here, sir. How are you doing? How's it going? Guys, let me know if the music's too loud or if it isn't loud enough. So one of the things I speak about quite a lot is having a mentor and a coach, someone who can help you to, figure out life and learn from their mistakes. Um, Also, maybe learn from their successes too. And I think that's a really important thing to do. Like, our parents guide us, and some of our friends and uncles and aunts and grandparents and that kind of stuff. But sometimes there's some people who might guide us on certain things in life, maybe business, maybe sports. So yeah, so mentors and coaches are quite important to have, and they teach us quite a lot of things, right? Do you guys have, who has got a mentor? Who's got a mentor? You got a mentor, you got a coach who helps you out? Manny's good. He's enjoying the show while having a cold beer. Ooh, I hope it's sweet. Is it sweet? Is it? Oh, beer's supposed to be sweet? That's like ciders, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, enjoy it. So yeah, personal life lessons, and from others. There's some people who say things like, I had to go through it myself so I can experience it for myself. And often I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if people told you like going down a certain road would mean that you would experience certain things, you would try and stay away from that instead of trying to experience it for yourself, right? I've got some quotes. I did a little bit of preparation today, and I got 3 quotes. The first one says, "Wise men learn from their mistakes, but wiser men learn from the mistakes of others." I don't know who said that. I think that one's anonymous. And there's another one from John C. Maxwell. He is a personal development type of person. And this one says, "Generally speaking, there are 2 kinds of learning: experience, which is gained from your own mistakes, and wisdom, which is learned from the mistakes of others." So I have a bit of a problem because I have a problem with the phrase that's being thrown around in the business world, and not so much a personal development world, but more in the business world. And it's thrown around by business people who've done really, really well. And it's caught on to other people who maybe haven't done so well. So business people who've had huge successes. And the phrase goes something like this: fail fast. And I'm kind of like, I get what you're trying to say, but why are you telling people to fail? Like, for some people, failure is not an option. You know what I mean? It's like they have to be successful in whatever they're doing in their endeavors, because they're trying to like leave certain situations. Maybe they're trying to leave poverty. Maybe they're trying to, this thing that they're trying to do, it needs to be successful. And I think it's more about learning quickly, learning quickly. And how do you learn fast? How do you learn quickly? There's 2 ways, I guess. You could, while you're going through it, you can learn and say, okay, this is not the good way to go. Let me stop. Let me pivot. Let me do something else. Or you could ask someone who's done it before, or multiple people who have done what you're trying to do before. And that's like, you're learning really fast that way, right? Because you're taking someone's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years of experience, and you're applying it to yourself based on the information that they're sharing with you. And boom, you're learning really quickly. Great example. I've got a marketing mentor. His name's Glenn, cool guy. And I sat down with him for a period of time. It's like an hour. We were just talking about marketing in general. And I learned so much in that hour that I was able to avoid some silly mistakes that probably would have made if I hadn't spoken to him. And it wasn't like he's sitting me down and going to teach you marketing. It was just like a general conversation. He taught me some stuff. He shared some experiences. And it's like, if I went through that period of my life thinking, let me fail fast so I could, learn, it would have been detrimental to me at that time, definitely. But I would sit down with someone and say, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? Tell me about your experiences and when you might have been in a similar situation. So I think this whole thing about failing fast is, I don't know, that message might be for some people. Maybe there's some people who are in a privileged position. I'm not talking about privilege in terms of financially, but just some sort of privilege where they can afford, they have the time and maybe money, time or money, to be able to mess around, fail, and do something else. Um, and we have this thing where we talk about Edison, Thomas Edison, like he had so many failures before the light bulb. And I'm like, not really, he was experimenting. Like, he's not failing, he's experimenting, you know, he's experimenting, he's trying to create something. And, each time he tries to do it, he gets an outcome and he learns. And he's like, okay, don't do that, do something else, try something else. But it's not failure, because it's not like he was tested on it. It was like, I'm going to give you this one thing that's going to work, and it hasn't worked. Oh my goodness, woe is me. It's been more like an experiment. Anyway, I'm ranting, man. So yeah, there's one other quote, I think. Or was it two? Hold on a minute. I had another quote here. Yes, the wisdom. That's not a quote. This is me. I wrote this. The wisdom actually comes when you've listened to someone else's advice and lessons. So you don't have to have the same experience, especially if it was a bad experience, right? And I feel like some of us are reinventing the wheel of certain experiences, and it's a waste of time and effort and energy just so that we can say, yeah, we done it, we lived it, we experienced it for ourselves. It's crazy. Anyway, that's my opinion. What do you think? What do you think? Is this just another one of Alexander's rants? Am I just going off on another one? Are you wondering what tea am I drinking? It's lemon, ginger, and honey. It's a good amount of honey. But it's not too sweet, because obviously I'm sweet enough. So yeah. So imagine. Let me not even go there. I'm gonna stop with that now. All right, two more quotes. So you guys know that I love Proverbs, right? Or you should know by now. I love Proverbs. And there's a lot of proverbs from the Bible or the Torah. I don't know if they're in any other Abrahamic religion, but the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. I'm going to say that again, because that's a good one. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. That's bars right there. Bible bars. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. I like that one, but the one before was a bit powerful. The fool, because no one wants to be a fool, right? But do you know if you're foolish? Do people who are stupid know they're stupid? I don't know. Like, who's going to tell them? Someone has to tell them, innit, I suppose. I don't know. But a wise man listens to advice. And it's so important. I keep talking about this, like, you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. That's a big one in the personal development world. It's important to make sure that you're around people who are giving you good advice, that you can say, after I spoke to this person, I took certain actions, and as a result, good things have happened and not bad things have happened. If you take advice from people and bad things happen, or things that you didn't want to happen, maybe you can say, no big deal, I learned from my mistakes. Yeah, well, you could have saved time and not made that mistake. I feel like I'm talking to someone today. What do you guys think? Chris, I wanted to ask about your thoughts on carnival. Interesting. Do I have any life lessons from carnival? Which carnival? Are you talking about Notting Hill Carnival? Because we're in London. I've only been to one Notting Hill Carnival. By the way, guys, if you want to get involved, I'm going to star this message. It's there. You can come on and we can have a chat. We can parlay if you want to talk. Don't worry about it if your mic isn't as clear as mine, or you don't have lights or whatever. It's all good. There's no judgment over here. It's just about having a conversation. So that's cool. Let's talk. So yeah, carnival. What are my thoughts? So Caribbean carnivals. Well, maybe that's all carnivals. Brazilian carnivals, maybe. So carnivals, I was told, were started, at least Caribbean ones anyway, after slavery was abolished, and it was like a street festival. So some places, this happened in February and August. So a lot of the carnivals are in August and February, apparently. Um, might need to look into it. So I think carnival celebrating freedom is, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you're talking about going to carnival in Notting Hill, so I personally don't like overcrowded spaces. I don't feel comfortable in them. I can work my way through if I need to, but I don't really like being in overcrowded spaces, right? So going to a street carnival where I'm not really in control isn't one of my favorite things to do. And I've only been to Notting Hill Carnival once. I've been close by twice. We had an office in Notting Hill for 2 years. Or was it 3 years? 2 years. So I was around for 2 Notting Hill Carnivals, but I didn't go. I was in the office doing work. What a thing, eh? So yeah, I think it depends as well. It depends what's happening there, right? It depends what's happening there. It depends on the type of carnivals, because some carnivals are different. I personally am not a big fan of seeing half-naked people run around the streets, especially if you're taking kids. That's not a thing. I think that's cool. What else? I don't think I've been to enough carnivals for me to really talk about this too much, to be honest. So I think I'll leave it there. What, are you thinking of going carnival? Are you thinking of going carnival? Carnival. I'll tell you what though, the carnival that I went to some years ago, after all the electronic music had gone off, all the electronic music had stopped and it was quiet. And somehow we found like a Brazilian band drum. It was just Brazilian drums. It was like drums, maybe not Brazilian, but it was drums made from like goat skin or cow skin or something. And that was amazing because it felt like we were taken back into time, like when there was no electronic music. And it was just, I don't know, just the natural sounds of the drums just sounded so amazing. And we followed them around for a little bit. And that purity of how I imagined carnival would have been when it started in many islands, I felt like I was experiencing that in London in 2000 and something, and I think that was a great experience. I really enjoyed that. I love to hear steel pans. Actually, do you know what? I think I'm going to seek out to listen to some more steel pans this year. Main reason being I didn't get to hear my granny play steel pan live. And she started learning steel pan maybe 6 years ago, maybe a little bit before that. So she passed away earlier this year in April, and she was a steel pan player. She was 95, and she learned how to play steel pan, in her later life. And I think that was amazing. I've got a really nice video of my youngest daughter messing around on Granny's steel pan, and this is after she's passed, and she's like playing 2 notes, and it sounds so beautiful. Maybe it sounds beautiful to me because there's like, this whole history of her playing it, but yeah, it sounded good. She was just hitting 2 notes. So I think I might seek out a little bit more steel pan this year. Yeah. So maybe I'll go and see some steel pan competition or whatever happens. I think it's on a Friday night before Carnival. Maybe I'll check that out. Am I even free? What am I doing? When is Carnival? Notting Hill Carnival. What is that? 26th to the 28th? Maybe. We'll see. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. Lessons. Learning from lessons. Have you ever heard of a phrase or term or word called griot? It's spelled Griots. Griot. Dave Chappelle calls himself a griot. And these are people who pass down stories. They're storytellers, historians, maybe musicians or artists. And they pass down stories from parents, grandparents, forefathers, ancestors from way back. And it's quite an important role in many traditions, right? What are they called? Narrators of oral traditions. And they tell stories with meanings and morals. So some of the stories that you might have heard from your parents or grandparents that are like really old stories, there would be these people who were in charge of telling stories. And I feel like my mum's one of those people, except she doesn't really tell the stories from way back in the day. She tells stories that, like, like some of her experiences, or some people that she knew, or some stories that well, I suppose some stories that her father and mother told her. And there'll always be a moral of the story. And my mum tells a good story. I think, yeah, she tells a good story. She enjoys it. And I guess I've gotten that from her. I've definitely inherited my storytelling. I tell some really cool stories to my kids before they go to bed. I don't know how I come up with this stuff half the time, to be honest. But yeah, so it's really cool to listen to my mom. Sometimes I'm kind of like, all right, get to the point, we got things to do. And the other times I'm like, tell me more. Sometimes it feels like I was there. Because I've heard some of these stories so many times, it feels like I'm there. Do you guys have that experience with your parents? Am I by myself here? Do you guys have that experience with your parents as well? Yeah. So my mom tells a good amount of stories, and I really enjoy those stories. Sometimes I'm not too. Sometimes I'm like, get to the point, and sometimes I'm like, we're like really engaged. Yeah. And I like them because they have a meaning to it. And I think we learn so much from stories, which is why movies, TV shows, podcasts do really, really well. A lot of them, they tell interesting stories. And those stories connect us to others and connect us to the past. And it helps us to have an image of what someone might have gone through, or a similar experience, especially if the story's told like really, really well. So yeah, I enjoy hearing that. I really enjoy hearing some of my mom's stories. Well, I guess sometimes if my mother is telling me stories more than once or twice or 3 times, that might mean that I haven't learned. I haven't learned the lesson. Mum, if you're watching, we'll have a conversation later. Mum, if you're watching, why aren't you in the comments? Yeah. So my parents have definitely been my biggest teachers. What I love is when my mum and her siblings get together and they tell stories. That's amazing. That's always amazing to hear, because someone remembers something that someone else didn't remember. And sometimes, like, you see them listening to the story and it's almost like they've never heard it before, but they were there. And they tell the story a little bit differently. They might ask some questions. Like, that's really cool to see. Yeah, that's always really cool to see. I think it's great to be around people who've known each other for a long time, and they tell a story from when they were younger. Yeah, I love that. I love seeing that. Yeah, I really do enjoy seeing that. So yeah, who's been your biggest teacher? Who's taught you the most stuff in your life? Who's been your biggest teacher? Who have you learned the most from? Is it a parent, sibling, friend, co-worker, manager, boss, employee? Yeah. Do you know what? I learned something. I was, when I was at uni, I went to a library, Senate House. There was a library. The University of London had a library in Senate House. And I used to go to that library, and when I was taking a break from studying, I would go to a park nearby, Russell Square, I think it was. And I was sitting in the park, and this lady came up to me. I think she was German. And we're having a little bit of a conversation. She was like an evangelist. And we were having a conversation about God and all this kind of stuff. And I told her what I was doing at uni. And she was like, so we exchanged names, obviously. I don't remember hers. But she was like, Alex, You don't have to be friends with the world. You don't have to be friends with everyone. And she said, I think that you care so much about what other people think that you might compromise some of your own standards and values because you don't want to offend, and maybe you want to help people. And I'm like, how is this woman reading me like this? What is going on? But that was an important lesson for me because it was absolutely true. Sometimes, especially in the past, I felt like I had to be friends with everyone, you know? And I think her name was Mary. And from that moment, it was kind of like, you know what, it's true. I don't have to be friends with everyone, especially at uni where I was like, I'm just going to buckle down. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to get my degree. So yeah, that was an important lesson. That was random as well. So random. A random person. Or was it random? Where's that sci-fi music? Was it random? So yeah, that was the biggest lesson. When I was 16, what was I doing? I was waiting at a bus stop or something. And I felt like, it was, I don't remember what this man said to me, but I can never forget the moment and how I felt in that moment. I felt like I was visited by an angel. He had on a long black trench coat. It might have been leather, but it was long. Something like they wore in the Matrix. And he was tall. He was like 6, 5 or something. I was definitely looking up to him. And he said something to me that I can't remember, but I just remember him saying it to me. And in that moment, like sparks went in my brain. I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And like after that, I was like, okay, I know what decision I have to make. And I looked around after like maybe 5 seconds and he was gone, nowhere to be seen. I looked left, I looked right, and if a tall man is walking away from you, you're going to see that person like in the distance, right? I don't know where he went. I told a few people this story before and they're like, yeah, that sounds like an angel encounter. But then I said, what angel do you know is smoking with a cigar? But I was just like, this guy looks cool. He looks cool. He looks like he's been through stuff and he knows stuff, Some of my friends have said to me that angels show up to people in a way that the people can receive them. And I what is that about? I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I'm digressing here, but whatever he said, it was an important lesson at that time that made me act and do things a little bit differently. I think I was at 6th form, but I'm going to really have to try to remember what he said. And I can picture it. I'm at the bus stop. The bus is saying maybe 5 minutes. I know which bus stop. The bus stop's moved now. It's not there anymore. And yeah, I can see so much of it, but I just can't remember what he said. Maybe I'll try and think about that later. And I should probably write it down because this was a long time ago. It's like maybe 21 years ago. And I still remember it to this day. It must have meant something. So yeah, some random people have taught me some things. That's really interesting, isn't it? You know what? It's so important for us to appreciate the people who've taught us stuff, dead or alive, and the lessons that we've learned from them. And it's important to hold those memories and hold those lessons close, especially if they've taught us something, especially if those lessons have saved our lives. It's really important for us to remember them. Write them down if you journal. Write them down if you journal. Maybe put them somewhere where you can see them. And then pass those lessons and those stories down to your children and your nephews and your godchildren and your younger siblings. And maybe even to your peers, maybe even to people older than you. Because if we've learned something and it's had an impact on our lives, then it would absolutely have an impact on other people's lives too. And that's sort of what life is all about, isn't it? Sharing those experiences, introducing people to a better way, a way that can help them improve and help the world improve as well. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's good to tell those people who you appreciate, thank you. Thank you for spending the time and effort to pour into my life and help me to be a better person. Because I guess there's been so many things that someone has said to you that helped you to stay on the straight and narrow, as they say. And if you had veered off the course, that could have meant a catastrophe, right? So yeah, let's remember those people and say thank you. Last week, I said when the tea is finished, I'll finish the live, and the tea's still going. As you know, I'm a slow drinker. It's still warm, so it's all good. Maybe we'll go on a little bit. I feel like that last bit was my closing statement, and I'm not sure what else to say now. So I'm going to enjoy some tunes and see what else pops up in my mind. A few episodes ago, I was talking about doing music again, and I've not followed up with it. However, summer hasn't come and gone yet. Well, actually, it has come, kind of, but it hasn't gone yet. So there's still a chance to do that. And if I do some music, I will definitely let you know how that goes. Yeah, speaking of music, I met with a really amazing producer, songwriter, and musician some time ago, and I was thinking about whether I was going to do music full time or I'll do web design and business full time. And I guess I could have kind of done both, but I felt like I needed to make a choice. So we sat down. We had, I don't know what I had, but he had a coffee. I had something else. And he helped me to be a better producer in a lot of ways. But it was more of a sort of mentor-mentee relationship. But he was saying that you have to be prepared to be poor for about 2 years until you make it in the music industry. And I guess that's all part of your learning. You're learning how to navigate stuff. You're learning how to make your songs better, how to make it more radio ready. Maybe you're learning, I don't know, you're learning all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I don't want to be poor. I'm already poor. I haven't got any money. I don't have the life that I desire and dream of. And around that time, I decided to, use the skills that I've got that I know I can make money from, which is web design. And I still have a web design business today. But at that time, it still took about 2 years for things, for anything to really take off. And it's sort of like, things take time. And I guess that's what he was trying to tell me, is that things take time. Some things go faster than others, but some things take time when you're trying to build something substantial and you're not just like relying on luck to get where you want to go if you don't want to have a one-hit kind of thing. And I remember that lesson. And when I look back, almost 15 years on, and I think about the things that I've tried to do and how long it's taken me to get good at something, or the amount of time it's taken me to get good at something, either to mastery or close to mastery, it wasn't overnight. And I guess it's really about appreciating the journey that you're on as well. So I was reminding someone the other day that I'm retiring from photography. That just really means I'm not going to advertise my photography services anymore. And mostly, if someone asks me to take pictures, I'm probably going to refer them, unless what? There are some compromises, but not a lot. And So I was reminded of that, and some time ago, maybe a few months ago, after I said I'm not going to be doing this anymore, a good amount of my camera equipment, my photography gear, went missing, aka stolen. Have I spoken about this already? Yes, and I did say that they need to return it. Whoever it was. So yeah, but it's kind of like I spoke it out that I'm not really going to be doing this anymore. Was I a bit careless with the equipment? Maybe I could have left it somewhere and not kept an eye on it, but I can't really think about, because that's not like in my nature. So yeah, why am I talking about this? I don't know why I'm talking about this. Why am I talking about this? I don't know. Anyway, it's been 40 minutes. Let me know how this was. Was it helpful? Was it useful? Was it fun? Did you enjoy it? Will you be back next week? If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, smash it, as some of the YouTubers say. Press that like button and share with someone who might find this useful. It's been real. Thanks for joining on another Wednesday. It's been a blast. Great show. Thank you, Manny. Manny is a new friend. I met Manny today. Manny said he was going to check out the show podcast. So that's really cool. Thank you, Manny. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes you meet people and there's something you speak about and you have like an instant bond almost. Was it the same for you, Manny? It was just me. But you speak about something and like you bond over like a shared experience, right? And that definitely happened today. And it's really, really cool because we can go through life, and even though we have our friends, it can still feel a little bit lonely, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're running your own business. It can feel a little bit lonely, but every now and again you meet someone and you have a great conversation with them, whether it's long or short, and you share a moment. And that human connection is like so powerful. It's so powerful to have a human connection. Yeah, you're great too, Manny. Good to meet you. Got some bromance going here. Awesome. All right, guys. The tea's still going. I'm going to drink a little bit more tea. I'm going to let this song play out, and then I'm going to close it off. Sometimes I say the name of the song like it's going to mean anything to anyone. This song is called, like I'm on radio, this song is called Cafe by what? Remix. It's a Cafe remix by Leave. Don't leave, stay. So yeah, listen, enjoy your evening, enjoy your night. I hope you have a peaceful night, a restful night, and you wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day, ready to take on the rest of the week, and you are ready to make your dreams a reality, whatever those dreams are. And always remember that you're special and you're loved by someone, even if you don't know who it is. All right, everyone, have a good night and see you same time next Wednesday. Peace in and peace out. Take care.